पिता गुरु बंधु सखा, तेरे चरणों में स्वामी मेरे कोटि प्रणाम। तेरे चरणों में स्वामी मेरे कोटि प्रणाम। प्रियतम तुम्ही प्राणनाथ तुम्ही, प्रियतम तुम्ही हृदयनाथ तुम्ही। तेरे चरणों में स्वामी मेरे कोटि प्रणाम। तेरे चरणों में स्वामी मेरे।
It's such a beautiful, an incredible honor and blessing and joy to welcome our beloved and respected Sri Mooji back to International Yoga Festival. We missed his presence last year so much. Having him here in the festival is always such a special blessing and a special highlight to bring us back into ourselves, to bring us into the truth of who we are, to bring us into that union, that yoga with the truth of who we are. And his satsang is something that is transformative for so many people. And to be able to offer it here in the festival is a very great blessing for all of us. For those, I see my sisters and brothers in the back trying to get space to come in. If we're full here under this awning, I would ask our Seva team to allow them to sit along the banks of Ganga where there's plenty of space, where they can have the darshan also of Mother Ganga and also be able to hear the beautiful and divine words of our Puja Moojiji. We don't want to turn anyone away. There's always space, always room. If we can just get a little closer and make up a little bit more, make a little more room. The gift. Everyone is here to listen. The truth to which satsang refers is a truth that is so pervasive and so eternal that it doesn't matter whether you understand English, it doesn't matter whether you're here in human form, animal form, form of nature. It's a truth that is a magnet for all. And so for those of us in human form, for those in monkey form, for those in so many other forms. It's a great blessing to have our beloved Puja Moojiji bring us into the place, the state, the experience of the truth of the self.
Oh, namaste, welcome everyone to this gathering today here at Parmarth Niketan for this year's yoga festival. It's wonderful to see so many people have come for this particular event, and I hope many will continue to see the different events that are presented here for this year's yoga festival. And it is very nice to be here again, sitting by the side of Ganga and having the best seat in the house, looking at all of you. So thank you. Thank you for inviting me again, Swamiji. And Satviji, thank you for inviting us each year. Well, last year was the first from many years that we skipped a year of visiting India. And it was fine to do that also. But when we came back, so many people expressed that they missed us not being here, and that was very touching somehow. I'm here today. We're not going to be here for very long, but however long, it will be enough somehow. That's always my trust. And I don't come with a prepared program. I didn't consider today I am going to talk about this or about that. Largely because I think I'm always talking about the same thing, actually. But again, Satviji mentioned about the discovery of truth. And first of all, I don't feel that the truth can be taught. No? I don't put it that truth is like some sacred or holy cluster of concepts. But truth is a spirit, truth is life, truth is God, truth is consciousness. I don't know how one can teach consciousness, you see? So I would want to put it that I don't want to come across like one person speaking to other people about personhood. I prefer that it is more that the consciousness is conversing with consciousness about consciousness. We can put that in the most simple term. As I said before, there are times when we sit together and I might take a guided meditation, I might present a guided meditation. Somehow I've not come with that in mind. We have several kind of exercises which people express and when that they are in a deep search for self-realization, and I have some simple exercises which I give from time. I have not come with that. I've just come as I am to try and meet you as you are. And I feel something always show up. I'm not attracted to preparing too much things or anything at all. As is consistent with life for me, we just find it as it unfolds. So today is going to be such an unfolding, and I'm just going to perhaps invite some, whoever it may be, who feel that they'd like to present a question or clarify some doubt in regards to discovering of truth and how possible that may be for each one. So I'm going to keep it very, very open for the moment. We have got like about an hour actually. And I still feel that what really can be pointed out, I have not come to teach so much, because if I teach you, you're going to have to learn, it's going to take time and so on. My attitude is more to point out something. To point out something that if it is grasped, it will bring in some transformation, rather than to give you something to put in your head. I think our heads are full enough as it is. So thank you for this, give me this time and your attention to say these few words. And the floor is open now. Thank you. Please, if you would come to the microphone, that would be good. May I just check if you can hear at the back clearly enough? Oh, that looks good. Good, good. Thank you.
No?
Thank you.
So, I notice with the mind that I live with, that if I don't practice something, or the body I live with, such as yoga, my body tends to go in another direction. And I just want to know, or I'd like to hear, what sort of practices you might recommend to sort of train the mind to be in the present moment, to be in presence, to be in our true nature, rather than where my mind wants to go, which is some obsession or thinking about politics or, whatever it is. Not that I understand that's not the natural state of my mind, but it's a habit that sits in a neural pathway that must be so deep. It's like the Ganga here. It's way down there, and my mind just wants to go there. And it takes practice for me and training to get it to stay in the present moment,
Yes.
stay in my presence.
Okay. First of all, if you are searching for something, such as to be in your natural state, to come to what is the natural state, and what is the natural mind? I'm going to use this word for now. Because if we speak about training something and exercise, as long as I keep giving these exercises, doing these practices, then I can reasonably control the attention from jumping about like a monkey. Sorry. And yes, there's jumping about to different things, and which does not bring any sense of peace or stillness or joy in itself. It brings in more a sense of restlessness. And that is, without asking anyone, we know intuitively that we don't like the state of restlessness. When we feel at peace and grounded in peace and in a state of joy and tranquility, we feel naturally, without having to check with anyone else, that we are more in our natural state. We feel more like ourselves. So your question is that, I have the tendency of mind. Yes, sorry. I have the mind has a tendency to be jumping around, and it needs to be controlled. It needs to be given some exercise in order to bring it back into the heart energy. You can use other words. We can use other words.
Training.
Train the mind. I have to say that many people do this, and some get good result. But many people find it's very difficult to train the mind. It seems to have a habit of its own. Like a reflex, it goes back into monkey business. Very, very easy. And then the amount of training that's required to still the mind, and the amount of energy and time it takes to still the mind while you are doing your practice. Then some people find that when I stop my practice, the mind reverts to its old behavior. So how can we get some result that is lasting? So I feel it's a very good question. I would like to try and tackle this one. I would say that we are accustomed to looking at the problems that are created in our mind. Like, this needs to be done, I need to do this, I need to change this. My mind is like it's like some kind of turbulent state is always happening, and it's very difficult to get to good sleep or to rest or to concentrate on the things I really want to, because my mind just seems to have a mind of its own. It just jumps around. How can I do something to get the mind to behave and to merge maybe into a deeper state of natural tranquility? And I would start like this by saying that everyone speaks about the movie projected inside the mind or what's happening outside, and and telling the story of this. This is how my mind behaves. This is what happens in my head, and so on. And because each one have their own taste, their own experience of their own mind's behavior. And as I was saying yesterday, that it is said that there are 7.5 billion human beings currently alive as contemporary entities on this planet. And if each of us got our own set of problems that we need to try and solve, and the problem seems to be in how our mind behaves and how it projects, then can you imagine to try and clear up that collective consciousness? It is a huge task, perhaps impossible. So what I'd like to do, and to try and introduce, that rather than looking at the problems that seem to dwell in our mental states and emotional and psychological states like this, rather than try to address the problem and to fix the problem, I would like to spend the time to meet you and find out because we are functioning from different positions of consciousness. Largely, people believe that they have a problem, they've got to make a life, and they've got to focus on their dreams and on their projections to fulfill them. That is the norm. And most people would say, yes, that's how it is. But we need to understand, not just mentally and intellectually, but experientially, who and what we are, the one who is experiencing life in these various states of intensities. I want to bring it back to the one who first is suffering from the mind's behavior, and just look at that one and to find out if that one is true. Let me give an example. So if someone is saying that, my mind is so turbulent, and, from as soon as I wake up, it gets going. It's like it's just running, a commentary about life. And I have very little time to really rest. Even if I don't do any physical work, at the end of the day, I'm exhausted because of the mind. You see? So I'm going to bypass first the story that is being presented, the activities that we are so involved in, and ask you, the person, because I've come to see that all problems are person-based. It's like, this is my personal experiences like that. And I want to ask you right now, and I think it's an easy enough question, actually, although it might appear to be new. The one who is saying, this is how things are for me, is the voice of this one reliable? Just take a moment, The one who is saying, this is how my life is, this is how it looks for me, and this is what I have to do. This I, me, my, mine, this references the one who is speaking these things, who is saying that if only things were like this, I would be just happy all the time. I would be content. Is this voice consistent or reliable? Can we have some feedback on this? No. So, the one who is asking for help today maybe refuse help tomorrow. Or if the help comes, they say, no, that's not the help I want, and I want this help, and so on. Or now, today, everything is wonderful, a wonderful one. Can we just press pause, and I'll just keep enjoying this moment? Is this voice reliable? Is it trustworthy? Just stay with me for a moment on this one. Because if it can be discerned, if it can be recognized, that the one who is speaking and saying, my life is in a terrible state, I don't know what to do with my life, and so on, is a truthful voice, and that voice represents you, then it means that this is who you are. Would you agree that this is a true reflection or representation of what you are? I would be nice to get a bit of feedback on this one, so we can proceed. Okay? So something, a deeper field of observation, which we have not made use of so far, when the question is asked, is that voice your true voice? Is that voice, or the one who is saying, this is happening to me, and this thing is happening, and these people are making my life hell, and so on. If this voice is truth, or is the one who is saying it true? Can I ask again about this? No, okay? Now, to answer this question, there must be a place that is observing or capable of observing this characteristic or this sense of person. Would you agree or not? That can say, actually, yes, this voice is like this, and these feelings are like this. Sometimes I feel like this, sometimes I feel like that. I have many different range of feelings. Which one of those feelings represents you most? Well, none of them. They are just like clouds passing somehow. I am saying this so that we can begin to identify if that voice that is speaking is not realistic and reliable. Can the thing it's talking about be reliable? Let's take a moment. I'm going to slow down a little bit, because so revealing, so transforming is this direction we are taking, which if we have an hour, we can make some results out of it. I don't want to leave you with any philosophy, with any kind of thing to say, you believe in this, or you do some mantra about this. I want to only look at something that is practical, it is now, it is truthful, it's not something that you have to do. And I wonder how far we can get in the time that we have. We have made a good start. So far, I've looked at what we feel about life. Oh, my life is not so well at the moment, and people let me down, and I feel like I've been abused, and all these things. We say these things. But we say different things to different people also. And we say different things depending on our mood. So all these things are contributing to what we say in a given moment. And we try to convey these moods or these outlooks as though they are truths. But then when I ask, not just about what you say and what we hear, but who is the one who is saying it? And if there's someone who is suffering or having problems by their thinking, who is the sufferer of it? You see? Is that sufferer continuously suffering? Or are they speaking about a particular relationship with certain kind of thinking? So I'm only asking you to observe. Observe. Now, first observation was the voice of the one who is saying, this is just the way things are, take it or leave it, that's how I am. Is this voice consistent? And you've said, no, it is not. In order to say and to discern if this voice is true or not, you have to look, something has to almost step back and look from a deeper place of observing. And this deeper place is not so personal. I don't know if you can see that. If you can begin to sense that the voice that spoke earlier is more personal, what is it that recognizes this personal voice? Is that itself personal? Is it a fair question? In order to recognize that that voice is not true, and that sense of personhood or identity is not consistent. So I don't want to say that represents who I truly am. You with me? Okay? So in order to say that, to confirm that, you must be looking at that from some distance to say, yes, I can see that voice and that sense of a person is just imagined. You see? When you are able to observe from a deeper place, like now, if you're able to observe from that deeper place, so I say observe with some detachment. Don't hold on to the previous state. Don't say, yeah, you're holding on to the person and trying to observe the person. Because even if something was holding on to the sense of person and was trying to observe itself, some deeper observing must observe that. Have I lost you? No, okay. So if a deeper field is observing the person, is this deeper observer, is it personal? Please, just look. I'm not giving any homework. Just now you can look. If the sense of myself personally can be observed, by what can it be observed? Is the observer of my person personal? You may need to take a little bit of time to really look at that. But I want to encourage you about something. If you can catch my pointing, it's going to create so much space in you. Because to live in the state and the position of personhood is a claustrophobic state. To live in the notion of ourself and the belief of ourself as merely a person, it's also a form of consciousness, but very restricted. The personal or the personal identity and ego means same thing. The ego state is very inconsistent. It is not stable. You've been looking at it just briefly. It is not stable, not consistent. And also, it tends to feel vulnerable. Feelings of insecurity, quick to fall into desire, resistance, doubt, judgments, neediness, the need to belong. All these things are the fruit of that state. But now I'm inviting, rather than to say, if I were to take you at that level of speaking and to then try to converse with you at that level and layer of consciousness, we won't get very far. We'll have some ideas exchanged and we'll keep changing our mind, because you cannot keep a consistent view going. When I ask you, can that be observed? And you say yes. I'm not asking you, do you think it can be observed? I'm asking you right now, can it be observed? And if it can be observed, it means that a deeper field of observing has opened up. Can you verify this? Are we getting anywhere like this? Okay. So as I am speaking and you are checking in, if the words I'm speaking to you, if they can relate, can you relate to them? Do they feel true within you? Then we can carry on. Okay? If the person, which it's like a reflex state, that very often, without intention to be in that state, just by the force of habit, we find ourselves relating from the position of personhood. You agree? Very often, we speak like person, we think like person, we act like person, we live like person, die like person. Now I'm introducing something that it is not new, but maybe newly discovered, is your power to observe. And observing is one of the great steps and powers that we have that's largely unexercised, not used, because the reflex is to relate from the position of personhood. In the realm of personhood, you have many dreams and aspirations, largely unfulfilled, because it takes a lot of effort to project and to fulfill your projections at the level of personhood. So we're just taking a little step back from the state of personhood to be in the place of the witness of the person. Witnessing and observing, same thing. If I say, to be able to answer the questions that I'm putting, you must step back and look from a deeper place where you can still observe And in your observing field is the person and its projections. So in other words, we are living in an idea we have of who we are. And the idea we have of who we are is suffering from its own projections also. If you can begin to observe, I am not telling you stop thinking, destroy your mind. I don't have to say that. I'm just saying leave it where it is for the moment, but pay attention to your power to observe. You're with me? As you observe without identifying, please pay a little attention just to the environment of the observing place. Is it erratic and tense, or is it more quiet and stable? Don't tell me what you think I want me to hear. I want you to hear. I'm asking for your honest experience. I'm trying to share with you how the sages came to be known as sages. For what? For what reason? They are not caught by the mental traffic of personhood. They can look at that, and whereas before when they believed in the identity of personhood, they would be speaking very much like someone is like, I don't know how to control my mind, please help me to do this, please help me to do that. But just by learning to observe, you are experiencing a much more spaciousness, less claustrophobic state. We are moving from the realm of person into the state of presence. Presence is feeling more like you. It's less excited, it's less anxious, it's more calm. It's not so much about doing or undoing, but more the quality of being. Do you need to imagine that, or can you begin to experience that? So this thing of being able to observe is bearing immediate fruit. I don't need to say if you keep doing this in 6 months you will get this. I'm saying immediately, as you are looking and not identifying, I say not identifying, and that is a very good clue. Because when we identify, you get sucked back into the role of personhood. And then somehow it feels also very natural for you. But once you begin to observe and see that there's nothing that you need to change or do or fix or become, you are already experiencing your natural beingness. And naturally you feel better, feel more calm, more stable. Once you begin to experience this, you see, you naturally, intuitively, spontaneously know you're in the right place. You don't need an expert to tell you you're going in the right direction, because you have the ability to gauge, I feel much better now. I feel much more calm. If I go back into the state of personhood, it's a riot there. But when I can observe the riot and the rioter, I find that if I can observe them without identifying with them, I find that I'm in a state of peace, and also that I am right here. I am just here. I'm not living a story. I am being. I'm not becoming. I am being. So that is the first major shift. As soon as you begin to recognize and experience this state of being, the old state of mind and restlessness becomes very unattractive for you. And its assertions that you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to change that, feels more distant. So what I'm speaking to you now, you can prove now if you're open. But if you're listening with your mind and your mind is saying, yeah, I don't agree, what is he talking about? I don't believe any of that, and there's a tendency to just believe your mind, then we will go no further. You will reject what I'm speaking. But if you say, hang on a second, let me listen. What he's saying is not hurting me. There may be some resistance coming up, and I want to talk to you a little bit about this resistance, because in everyone, there's a force that seems to be calling you to stay in personhood, to live and think that you're only a person, to have the problems of a person, to try and solve them like a person, and to go from day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute, in this state of personhood, concerned about always perishable things, and in some way blocking a deeper possibility of discovering the truth of yourself. As you begin to break out of this little tiny space of personhood into the larger space of observing, you see, immediately you're feeling more spacious. So that's the other power. The first power, the one side, it's trying to keep you in the notion and the belief of personhood. And we can be doing this for all your life, just trying to upgrade your person. But when you begin to observe, you are observing the person and begin to see how fickle, how unreal, how unpleasant, how restricted the person is. And I want to tell you something. Sometimes we cannot tell our state at the moment. It's only as you're moving out of one state to a higher state, you can look back and look at the state you were before. It's just the way things are. As you begin to recognize your ability, your inherent ability to observe, with a little practice, you're getting better and better and better at it very quickly. You're able to see the egoic identity and its behavior, and also to recognize and register that, but I'm in a state more of beingness. Okay? Now,
I heard you just now say, with a little practice,
yes,
we can start to stay in that observable place more easily, and we'll want to.
Yes.
So I guess I feel a little nervous asking this question again, but so is there a practice that you would recommend, though, for that, or is that just kind of in our day-to-day life?
The practice doesn't mean that every day you get up at 8 o'clock and you do your practice. The practice comes in spontaneously as the challenge arises. You understand? When the mind stuff feels a bit noisy, immediately you remember, but wait a second, something wants to get involved, like a reflex. It's already going, yes, but I think I better do this and I better do that, and it becomes very noisy. But if you are observing, if you remember to observe, you have created some space around yourself. You're not pulled straight into a fight. You're able to, wait a second, just let it just play for a minute. You don't have to close your eyes. You don't have to close your ears. You can look at it. What is it saying? What is the mind insisting upon? What is this commentary about? But you have learned one thing, to observe this with detachment. And initially, it might feel, I can observe it, but I get quickly attached. And then I'll remind you, if you get quickly attached, is that not also observable? And you may say, yeah, it's just a bit more hard to do that. And that is your practice. That each time you stay with it, don't give up, you get better at it. You get better at it, and the better you get at it, the more you feel joy, the more you feel encouraged within your own being. You want to keep it up. You know you can beat it. You know you can transcend. And life is largely about transcending. You can call growing a kind of transcending, but now I'm talking about conscious transcending, meaning that a state like this, which you could have continued suffering from, quickly you begin to see from a deeper perspective within yourself, which is feeling more true than the more excited position, because you're feeling peaceful. You're not feeling pushed about or pressured by your own mind's projection. you feel stable and present. You see? And then I want to give another little example to help you as an image. And this I've used before in different sessions. We talked about it. Can I share this one? It's only a minute or two.
I'll sit back down.
Yes, please. Okay. Let's imagine that you are looking, that there is a tree, and on a branch on this tree is a bird that's building a nest, and it's got babies in the nest, and it's flying off and getting food, worms and stuff, and coming back and feeding the little chicks and stuff and going. So I'm going to say that this bird who is building its nest and having its babies and flying off and finding food is going to represent for the moment our dynamic life. You are finding your career, you've studied, you've met your partner in life, you got married, you're building a home, you're having your children, you're finding your job. That bird represents that. It's okay for me? Okay. So that's the first bird, sitting on a branch, moving about, creating. And that bird represents your dynamic, active life of finding a job, growing, becoming more successful, and so on. On a branch, just above that one, sits another bird, looking just like the first bird. But this bird is not doing anything at all. It just quietly looks. It just quietly looks. From where he's sitting, he can see the first bird, busy, doing everything. But it's not building anything at all. It just quietly observes. It's not introverted. It's not locked up in its own mind. No, it can feel the breeze. It can see the sky. It can see other birds. It can see the first bird. This second bird represents your observing capacity to look without identifying. The second bird is not trying to help the first bird. It's not even interfering. It quietly observes. It's detached from first bird. It's simply observe. Can you relate to that image as the observing capacity within yourself? Hello? Yes. Thank you. Good. So, when I speak of observing, maybe this image of the second bird becomes kind of like a reminder, something useful. Okay? And I ask you, what is the environment of the second bird like internally? Let's go back to the first bird again. First bird, busy. If I don't do this, this will happen, blah, 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 blah. I've got mouths to feed, children to grow up, husband to get, whatever, all this stuff. Imagine the inner environment of the first bird. What's it like? Happy? Stable? Not at all. Now look from second bird position. It quietly looks. Is the second bird lazy? No. It is observing. And by observing, it's not getting involved. It sees everything, but it's not trying to manipulate. There's a value in observing. And in observing, it also begins to emit a kind of perfume which is peaceful and content and silent and happy. It's aware of its own environment, not the projected, chaotic, dynamic field, which it is aware of it, but it's not logged into it. It is not identified with it. We have the capacity to perceive without identifying personally with what we perceive. It is a natural functioning in us. So the second bird quietly looks. Now, may I put this thing to you? The first bird and its activity, could we say that that is a functioning that we are observing? Maybe I asked the monkey as well, what is that about? Is it a functioning that you are observing? Yes. Okay. What about the second bird? The second bird quietly looks, it's aware, it observes, but it's very quiet. Is it a functioning also or not? Oh, nice. That is also a functioning. If that can be recognized, is there a third bird? Slow down. If even the second bird, and remember that its state is a peaceful one, it's more relaxed. We feel very happy and feel, whoa, I feel much more grounded in my life now, okay? And we are saying the second bird is also observable? Is that just a mental answer or is that an experiential seeing? If the second bird is also observable, and the second bird with its own environment, which is much more content, more relaxed, more open, less afraid, okay, is also observable, that place in which the second bird is observable, what is that environment like? Does it have an environment separate from itself? In the place, he says it's the pure I. I'm not even going to give it a name right now because we don't need to. We are just looking. It is almost like a field of some... There's intelligence there or not? Yes, yes. Is it actively doing anything? Is it controlling second bird and first bird? No. Pay attention. Answer from here, not from here. Answer from here, okay? This third place, I'm not going to call it a bird at all, okay? Is it dead? Can I ask you about this place? I'm taking a risk now. Let me see what time we have. It says 12:12, okay? I got to be out of here by 12:30, okay? Let's see what we can do in this time. I wonder if it's possible to see how far you can go. Should I carry on? Looking from, we've seen the first bird. We know first bird in our life. Okay? We maybe have lived the first bird for a lot of our life. But I've introduced a second bird position of just observing. But not identifying, just observing. And even if there's an itch to go to first bird and to solve first bird, that is also observable without identifying. Then I ask you, don't tell me what you see out there. How are you in here? You say more peaceful, more spacious, softer, less afraid. Did you create that or do you discover that? You are discovering that. Now I ask if even that state, as pleasant as it is, as spacious as it is, as wonderful as it is this state also observable? And you say, yes. Then I say, being in the place where even the second bird is observable, did you travel to this place? No. From this place, the second bird and its environment is also experienced, but even there you don't identify now. Now you're in a deeper space now. Is it personal? You see my question? Is it personal? No. Do you have a shape there? Did you create this space? Are you fading now? Right. No. It's here. Now, You are discovering this space now. But where has it been all your life? It's been here. It's been here all your life, but you have not discovered it. May I ask you, you're discovering it now. Is it a disappointing discovery? Can I ask you also, you are directly experiencing and directly responding from that place. Okay? This, whatever it is, space, state, can it fade away? It's an unusual question. Can it fade away so that, for instance, you fell asleep and 10 hours later you wake up and it's gone? Oh my God, I've lost it. Can it be lost? Can it be lost? Is it an object that you're discovering? Is it an attitude? No. Now I'm going to ask you something more, okay? This that you are discovering, this dimension of being, was it born? You sure you can say that? Okay, I see some heads going, and I see a lot of heads going. Okay? So we're just gonna stay for a moment. I ask you, was it born? You said no. Those of you who said no, I ask you, can it die? You didn't have to do some research to answer these questions? Why? How can you answer questions like this? How is it possible that you can answer a question like this? Some people say, no, I don't know. No, I don't know if it was born or not. Okay? In order to be born, you have to have a shape. Is it a shape? No. What time is it there? Here it's 12:17. We got 13 minutes, I believe. Yeah. Okay? What time is it in this place? Timeless. So here we say 12:18, but here it's timeless. Where is here? This timeless place. Huh? Now. Is this a now of time? Like now and then? Or amazing. 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 Are we making this up? Can you see, just in the short space of time we have had together, have you made a fundamental discovery about yourself or not? Here in this place, can you have a problem? Okay, your answers are true. And because you didn't answer from your mind, you didn't say, well, let me think about it. As I spoke, you were giving bang, bang, bang. Why? Because your answers were not separate from you. Let's look at what may happen from here. The mind right now has got very little influence, the psychological mind, the personal mind. Can you agree? Yes. He's not molesting or torturing you from this place because you are established in your true place. But it's not over. The mind force will come back. And I'm telling you ahead of time that when the mind comes back, it will come with a sense like, but oh no, I've lost it. And you may forget that the feeling, I've lost it, is only a feeling and a thought and not a reality. Because the reflex, out of habit, you have thought like this thousands of times in the past and believed it. And you have believed your thoughts into existence and they became your experience. But all the while, this is here. Here, in the place of the mind, everything is changing. I feel really great. Oh no, I feel terrible. It's boom, 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 boom. Here is a fluctuating state, but the place I am pointing to, is it a changeful state? Does it come or go? No. It doesn't come or go. It's still. Is it dead? Is it boring? Because the Bible says boring. Okay? Who would it be speaking to? The idea you have of yourself, which for a while will keep coming into the picture. But the more you stay practicing and remembering, but I'm just look from here and not from here, again, your world becomes quiet and peaceful. It is as simple as this. It is as simple as this. But it will take little practice. A little practice, why? Because there is a habit. The momentum of habit creates a kind of reflex in your system that makes you quickly go back into identification, so to speak. But that is what you imagine, not what you are. And as you begin to check in more, get used to checking back, observing more, you are becoming naturally convinced that this is your true place. Is where you are happiest. And not happy about, just happy. Peaceful. Open. Unafraid. Some people are afraid of not only death, but even of life itself. But now, resting in the place that you have discovered, I did not give that to you. It's always been there. You are discovering, not creating. And that is the key, because if you have to create, you have to keep on creating. But if you discover something, it means that it was already there. And now you are aware of it. You will follow. So when the mind comes back, the tendency would just say, oh no, man, I wish, oh no, I've lost it and so on. And you are not to believe that. Let it play. But my blessing, if I can say that today, is may the seed of this knowing and recognition continue to blossom within you so that you keep on recognizing your true place and to that extent becoming much more stable, more calm, more open, less afraid, more universal in your expression and less constricted and dense as the person is. I'm checking my time, 12:24. I've got 6 minutes. Has it been worth it, this little talk? Yes. If I say, that was a nice little exercise, okay? Now go back to your old way. Okay? Now you can go back and, because the exercise is finished, just exercise. What is your response? Could you come to the microphone now? Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
So, for example, right now, both birds are part of what we are.
Yes.
Right? So, for example, like you now, the other bird, it's like, oh, it's time to go, it's time to go. And the other one, it's right in here. So both, we play together. And it's like, well, as I see it, it's just like a game between both, but not losing what you are, but you have to use the other bird as well, right?
What I find is that I'm not creating anything at all. I don't have to interfere with the unfolding of the manifest world. If I project something like how I want the world to be, then it's something strange, because it's not trusting in its natural unfolding. I want to fulfill my own projection. That will be a distortion. That will be a very subjective, creative experience. Having discovered the place of observing, one discovers that life takes care of life. But the mind is always trying to get something to please the egoic identity, which is unstable. So it's always active, always active. Now, as you move more deeply into your observing ability, the fascination for the egoic identity and its world begins to weaken. Its influence is weakening. Your interest in it is also going. Your life quality has risen much more above that kind of restless state of being. So I am not creating. That ability to observe becomes very, very natural. It's not even practiced anymore. It just becomes natural. You see, I have a dynamic existence where I'm here speaking with you about these things. I'm aware that this is just happening also. But nothing is greater than that background. You may say, I'm calling it background, but it's not a background. It's not a background, and it's not even foreground. It's neither inside nor outside. But the sense of insideness and outsideness can appear in it. It becomes, if I use just common words, it's my more settled experience. I and my experience are one here. And then all that happens in the dynamic realm of consciousness, in the realm of observing and creating and so on, that's happening somehow without my interference. Because what? I'm always happy. Even when I'm sad. I can have feelings of sadness, even a feeling of anger. They may come. I'm not against them. There's something informative about them, but I'm not lost in them, because you're grounded in your natural state. And everyone is this natural state. It's only a question of how much you are aware of it or not. If you're living only in the body-mind existence, then you will not be able to confirm these things, because you're too busy trying to control your world. But the more you discover here, and I cannot get everything across to you in 1 hour. I cannot do it. I tried to get across the most important things, but there are many subtle things that you will keep on discovering. And I like that, because in each one, your discovery will feel unique, but it will still be happening within these paradigms. It will still be happening inside this understanding. You will understand it. So I cannot tell you everything about it. If I want to tell you everything about it, I can say it's totally empty, it's zero. And yet nothing can exist without it. If I say that, but would anyone grasp what I'm speaking? So by slowly exploring, explaining, and guiding, and you can follow within your own being and experience the result of your own observation, I think we have done enough for now. If you are really touched by our time today, and you want to go more deeply into it, if you can say go more deeply into it, I would just say stay with it and enjoy its fruits. You can find that. But this was for myself the best way of spending this hour with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. What I have endeavored to share with you is the quintessence of advaitic thought. Forget about Advaita, it's not about that. But it is actually, many people have studied religion, spirituality for many, many years. You know, I meet many of them. Some people, they say, I've been studying for 30 years, 40 years, but I lack the experience. They are inclined to say, I have the knowledge, but not the experience. Today, I have endeavored to share the experience of it. Because with the experience, you can stand in the authority of your seeing. You can study something, but you cannot live it. Then of what real value is it? It is better that you come to know it, and then you may come to understand it in words and concepts later. The concepts and the words are not so important. The experience of seeing that which cannot be seen phenomenally, where even a blind person can say, I got it. Even a blind person can say, I see it. I got it. What kind of seeing is that? It's the seeing with the intelligence of being. You see it. See it inside your being. You see it. And when you see it, it becomes irrefutable proof for you. Not merely a belief. Belief is great. But it must convert into experience. And I want to ask you, this experience of seeing, does it come and go? That which you have understood and recognized, does it come and go? No. And yet, maybe in a short while, you may say, I lost it. And the I who say, I lost it, is only the idea you have of who you are believed in. So I'm going to leave you with this for now. I want to say thank you to Swamiji, and to Satviji, and to Parmarth Niketan Ashram for inviting us here. I feel now this hour has been fulfilled for me. In meeting you today, maybe in some of you, you may find that a transformation has taken place that will keep getting richer and richer and deeper and deeper. Others may say, well, that was nice. I'd like to have that experience again. And others will say, whoa, I prefer to do some pranayama right now. And that's fine, that's fine, because I don't want to tell anybody what to do. By all means, do your pranayama. But do your pranayama in this. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you so much for the experience of the truth. here on the banks of Ganga, there's two ways of bathing. One way is the way where your body gets wet, and you say, wow, that was great. And you get out, and in the hot sun, in 10 or 15 minutes, the body is dry. And nonetheless, you're left with a beautiful memory of a great bath, but the body is dry, the clothes are dry. And the other way of bathing is in a way where the wetness goes on the inside, and that never dries. And you've given us that experience of the inner bath, which doesn't dry, isn't just a memory, but actually is the true wetness of who we are. So thank you for that. Today is, any day you touch the truth is auspicious. Puja Swamiji always says, whenever you wake up, it's morning. Nonetheless, today is especially auspicious because it's the day of Mahashivaratri. So it's the day in which that power of the universe is also there for us, in addition to the power of truth and the power of the self and the power of the gurus and the power of the light. Today we also have the power of the universe with us, conspiring, you could say, in a beautiful way to help us wake up. And it's the day of the year in which that power of removing the falsehood, removing the darkness, of wiping away that which keeps us from living in the truth, is the most powerful. And so to have you here with us on the banks of Ganga on Mahashivaratri is such an incredible blessing. This evening we'll be gathering at 8:30 tonight on our ghat with Lord Shiva, at Lord Shiva's feet, for prayers, chanting, meditation, and an experience of being at the feet of Lord Shiva. We hope deeply, if your schedule permits, that you could join us again at that time. It's an invitation that is open to everyone, whether you're here in the festival for the week, for the day, for the hour. It's open to all to sit in the midst of Mother Ganga as day turns to night, and then as night turns to day, on this auspicious day. And so we thank you from the depths of our hearts and the depths of our being. And we open our arms and open our ghat to everyone to join us again this evening for the Mahashivaratri experience. Before we leave, let's have a very heart-filled, presence-filled, truth-filled, love-filled expression of gratitude in whatever way feels most right for you, for our beloved, revered embodiment of that light and of that truth, our Puja Sri Moojiji.